What's up, everybody? Unrested here, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about games. I actually should have brought up my homepage on my Facebook so that I could look at a list of games that I wanted to look at to talk to you about, and here we are. I found them, thank goodness. Just in time. I wanted to just talk to you about games because recently I've been talking about making a game. I've been talking about looking into making either a survival horror or a Come to Japan game, and it's kind of made me reflect on a lot of games from the past that I really enjoyed. I feel like you should always bring influences from other games that you felt were really fun, and share those with other people. Share them with your vision and let them see what you felt as far as games like Shenmue, which really made me feel like I was in Japan, and even after I came to Japan, I could confirm 100%, wow, this is really what Japan looks like. And a lot of the structures, a lot of the architecture haven't changed since 1980 when that game was supposed to take place. And there's even some of the styles and stuff you see. It's just a really beautiful game. I'm going to just talk to you here a little bit about a list of 10 video games that had a big influence on my past. And just kind of my own ideas for a game, my own influence of what I enjoy playing today, and I think if we have time, maybe I'll get into some video game soundtracks too, but we might not have time for that, so let me just jump into it. Top 10 games. A little bit in between here of all different types of stuff as far as horror mixed with adventure. So for adventure, I would say some of the very, very old games that I was into was Star Tropics. If you remember that one, high five to you. That was an NES game. There was one for SNES too, I believe, but I did not play that one. Metroid, the original NES Metroid, with its very bleak, minimalist soundtrack. I don't know, man. That game, when I would play that alone at my house, when my parents would be at work, and I'd be sitting there with this big-ass CRT TV that was built into a cabinet. I mean, that's how old the TV was that I used to play NES on. It was built into a cabinet. It looked like a piece of furniture. I just remember being totally creeped out by how bleak and how actually mesmerizing the entire world was, and just how it enveloped you. I felt like I was there exploring these caverns, afraid of which I was going to find around the corner. I don't know. It's weird because I'm not really a very big fan of the newer Metroid games. I actually don't like them very much at all. I kind of felt like they went the way of the FPS, which, that's fine. I have nothing against FPS games. I just personally don't really get too into FPS games. I was a huge fan of Wolfenstein, the really old Wolfenstein. I was a huge fan of Doom. And then Quake came out, and I was just like, you know what? I've had enough of this. And then every single FPS after that I just never could get into. There was one for a very short time that I got into, and I doubt anyone else has ever played this game. It's called Shell Shock 2: White Knight. I don't know why I liked that game. It was totally fucking weird. It was a Vietnam shoot-'em-up game where you were going into like all different sorts of like psychotic fits because you were on some kind of drug while you fought in the military. I guess I just like the psychological aspect of it, that it actually took into account that you could become shell-shocked and get PSTD from war. I felt like that was important to put into a game, because it's always these like super heroic games where they're just like, fucking kill everyone, you're okay. You know, you take all these bullets, like you take so many bullets in your body that you could probably barely walk with the amount of lead stuck in your body. I don't think that's the way bullets really work, but whatever. Other games from the past, Waxworks. That's a PC game. I doubt many people remember this one. It was another very small seller. It didn't do very well. It was incredibly gory and graphic, and every time you died it showed you this insanely gory, just disgusting, almost faces of death type death scene. I mean, it literally bordered on pushing the edges of even anything I could take, and I was really into scary stuff even back then. Another one that was a big hit with me, Waxworks, and I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. If you don't know what that game is about, it actually got taken off the shelves in Florida. I don't know about other states in America. 3 weeks after it came out, it got taken off the shelves for being too disgusting, too violent, and too gory. It really wasn't that gory or violent or disgusting. I think the topics were a bit on the edge. It dealt with rape. It dealt with the Holocaust. It dealt with people with disabilities. It dealt with some really heavy issues. And it wasn't nice with how it dealt with them. If you don't know anything about that, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a short story by the science fiction writer Harlan Ellison, who I highly suggest you research and read. He's got a bunch of amazing, great books. I've read almost every damn thing he's written. That is based on one where it's post-apocalyptic, a giant computer has taken over the world. It's kept only 4 or 5 people alive. I can't remember how many. It's kept 4 or 5 people alive, and it just continuously creates holodeck, like, you know, Star Trek, like holodeck type atmospheres to torture them in. It just like literally recreates like torturous situations to put them through over and over and over and over because it hates humanity. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, and I mean it really pushes the edges of your sanity to just even play it. I mean it's fucking awesome. I don't know, I think I still have the mouse pad that came with it. It was like these computer chips like covering up a person's mouth. The weird thing was the game was voiced by Harlan Ellison himself. Maybe not such a good idea. He is an excellent writer, not such a great voiceover artist. Alright, games from the past. Anything else? Let's see, do I have anything else? Oh, Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria. The original Phantasmagoria, the, what do you call it? MVA, like movie, video, action, or I don't remember what it's called. It's where you used to put video into the middle of the game. And for a while, I thought that was fucking awesome. Like, I thought, like, you know, these green screen backgrounds and having actors in the game that you could control. When those first came out, we all thought they were amazing. I mean, I guess I did. I don't know. And then, you know, eventually they started to come out with computer graphics that bordered on total realism, and you realized how lame having people doing actual video, especially when Phantasmagoria 2 came out, Puzzle of the Flesh, man, that looked bad. I highly recommend you watch the Spoony One's take on it, where he riffs on it. Man, it is the funniest ever. But the original Phantasmagoria, there's not a lot of videos on that of people riffing on it, because it's actually a pretty damn good game. Again, a very horrific game dealing with very, very heavy topics. Murder, rape, spousal abuse, just insane stuff. Like, I guess I liked games that took me into really dark areas of life because my life was so sane. I guess it made it very easy for me to handle. I guess there's good things you could say about that and bad things you could say about that. Let's see. Let me think of some games that were on a lighter note that aren't so heavy. I liked Willy Beamish, which is just a, you know, you're this little punk rock kid with a skateboard. I remember I was in 6th or 7th grade when that came out, and I really felt like him and I were like the same type of people. We both skateboarded all the time. He liked a slimy pet frog, and I liked to collect things like snakes, scorpions, and spiders and stuff. Those were the kind of pets I had when I was younger. You can see the kind of persona that I have today. You know, it started back when I was very young. Even when I was a small kid, I remember I didn't know what monsters were yet, so I was drawing dinosaurs eating each other. So all through my life, I've been into stuff like that. Let's see, other games that really influenced me. Oh, okay. All of the King's Quest games up until it became that weird cartoony stuff in like part 6 where you're the mother and the daughter. I played Pearls of Rosella was the very first game I ever played. I was really young when that came out. That was back when you still typed actions into the keyboard. Oh my god. Natsukashi. That's a Japanese word for to wax nostalgic. That's what I'm doing when I say that game title. Holy cow, that was a fun game. That really kind of launched me into the whole PC gaming thing. I played everything from there. I played Commander Keen, Janitor Joe, Montezuma's Revenge. God, can you guys remember those games back when computers were DOS-based? Yeah, I used to play games all the way back when computers were DOS-based. My dad bought us our first PC when I was 3 years old. I remember I had an IBM 886 before even 386, 486 Pentium ever came out, and I was doing CD / commands to execute files and open them up. I don't know shit about computers. I really don't. But I remember being able to at least do that. I remember instead of having WordPerfect or anything like that, I used a program called Enable to type. Do you guys remember that? I don't know. Maybe I'm just totally talking to myself at this point. Let me catch up to more recent stuff. How about Deadly Premonition? Has anybody played that game? A very amazing Twin Peaks type game. If you haven't seen the show Twin Peaks and you're into like weird sort of creepy stuff, I highly recommend you check out that TV series. I think you can watch it for free on YouTube. I think it's totally for free on YouTube. It's so old. But there was a game called Deadly Premonition, which was kind of based around that series and around some of the kind of creepy survival horror stuff at the time. It was supposed to be a competitor with Heavy Rain, I had been told, but the graphics are just piss poor in comparison to Heavy Rain. I mean, good lord, I don't know how that could be a competitor with Heavy Rain. But the story itself was amazing. It was just this super creepy, weird story. The soundtrack is by far one of my all-time favorite soundtracks. I would listen to that over and over again to go to sleep. I would also listen to the dialogue in that game to go to sleep. It was just such good, enriching dialogue. It's about this guy who's an FBI agent who has a split personality inside of him. He's got like the other half of his twin who died when he was younger living inside of him pretty much, and he talks to him all the time so that you yourself as the player take the role of this other side of his personality and he's talking to you. It's an amazing game. I highly recommend it. If you can go get the director's cut and play it, I highly recommend it. XCOM Enemy Unknown, the original XCOM. Very fun game. I'm not really a very big fan of real-time strategic simulations where you do war-type stuff. Not a big Civilization fan. I did play the original Civilization. It was alright. I didn't really get too into Part 5. But XCOM, I've been to every single episode of that. I played Terror of the Deep. I played XCOM Apocalypse. I did not play Interceptor, which was some kind of first-person flying game, I've heard, but I don't know where you could even find that. I never found that game. Let's see, what else do we got? Shenmue. Did I talk about Shenmue yet? Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2. I'm one of those few people that was in love with the game Shenmue, even with its very robotic speech patterns and blank-faced stares from Ryu. I very much so enjoyed Shenmue. I played Part 1 on the Dreamcast, Part 2 on the Xbox. I could not carry over my information, so that kind of sucks. Will we ever find Lang Di? I don't know. Maybe in the future. Shenmue 3, make it, please. I'd like to see how the story finishes. Those of you who don't know, Shenmue was this kind of RPG game that was based on Virtua Fighter. You play a teenager Japanese boy in 1980s Japan searching for the killer of your father. And I mean, it is spot on with how Japan looks, with how Japanese people act, and kind of these like racist stereotypes that Japanese people have about gaijin and about b-boys and stuff like that. You would just have to play it to understand what I'm talking about. It's pretty funny. A game called The Cat Lady, which you can purchase on Steam. I highly recommend you check out the game Cat Lady. It's not a game I can sum up very quickly. It is about a mentally disturbed 40-year-old woman who tries to commit suicide, comes face to face with death, kind of gambles with death, comes back to life, has unlimited lives, and fights evil with that power. Man, that description sounds horrible. Just check it out on Steam. I highly, highly recommend it. It's one of the best written games I have ever played. I mean, amazing, amazing game. Let's see, what else? Final Fantasy II was one of my all-time favorite RPGs, along with Dragon Warrior, back before it was called Dragon Quest. I played the original Dragon Warrior and Dragon Warrior 2. And of all the Silent Hill games, Silent Hill 3 is my favorite Silent Hill. I liked being a young girl who ran around the mall that she was locked in. I didn't like ever being an ex-con or a ex-fighter for the military. Sorry, just wasn't my thing. I didn't really like the American versions of Silent Hill. I think now that a Japanese company has taken it back over again, we've gotten an excellent actor from The Walking Dead as part of it, and I don't know yet, maybe the music has been taken back over by Akira Yamamoto. If so, then that's gonna fucking rock. But again, one of my all-time favorite soundtracks, Silent Hill 2 and 3, just absolutely stellar. Something I could listen to every day if I had to. Heavy Rain. A lot of people don't like that game because they say it's just an interactive novel. I loved it. I like games with heavy, heavy stories. I like games heavily story-driven. I don't like a lot of fighting in my games. Maybe that's just me getting old, because when I was younger, I loved violent, gory fighting and everything, but as I'm getting older, I'm not so into that. Maybe that's an age thing, I don't know. You guys who are around my age, 35, yes, I'm 35, I'm not 20, let me know, how do you feel about that? I think that about covers it. That's a pretty good swab of all the games that I reminisce about. My influences. What games influence you? as far as your creativity, your inspiration, and games that you would like to see for the future. Let me know in the comments below. I'm Unrested. I hope you like what you saw here today. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe.